So before we dive into the details about how to use the Google Display Network to grow your business, I always like to talk about why you should advertise on GDN and the types of offers that work. So when we talk about GDN, I want you to understand how massive it is. It is absolutely ginormous. GDN is put on more than 2 million sites and reaches over 90% of the internet population. So people think Facebook is massive because it's got 1.6 billion people on it. Well, at 90% of the internet population is 3.8 billion people. So it is much larger, even more than double the size of Facebook. And so the inventory on it is absolutely massive. It's also placed on a lot of major sites. You've got major, ESPN, massive news sites, places that you go on a daily basis have Google AdSense, which is the Google Display Network, placed on them. So I want you to understand the scale of this is so much bigger than any other ad network. That's why GDN is massive and is sometimes referred to as the big wave. The other piece about GDN is it has absolutely amazing targeting. You have the ability to go super specific all the way out to massive reach. And on top of that, you can choose to either target the person behind the computer, so that could be age, demographic, income, those types of information. And we get into Google data targeting, which is affinity and in-market audience, some really amazing stuff. Or you can choose to target the type of content they're interacting with. So you can target what they're reading, what they're watching, or the types of apps they're in, and it's called contextual relevance. So it's really amazing, all the different options you have to get your message in front of people and figure out what's going to drive visitors to you profitably. Really incredible stuff. On top of that, once again, massive scale. You can start with free money. So Google has a trial program. They typically give you $100 to go in and start testing things out. You can scale to $10,000+ a day. I've seen small businesses that are in business to consumer niches do it and do it profitably. And then for some of the massive businesses, they're spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a day with cold traffic and retargeting because there's so much scale available on GDN. The other awesome part is that GDN offers you a tool called Display Conversion Optimizer, which we'll talk about at the end, to help you scale faster. Once you find a recipe for success, Google will continue to do the work to help you get customers at your target CPA and drive a boatload of traffic overnight. The opportunity to scale your campaigns is absolutely there. That being said, I want to talk a little bit now about the types of offers that work on GDN because not everything works. So the types of campaigns that I've seen work in my time at Google and in my own agency are direct sales, so typically $47 or less, and they're very VSL heavy. So they require a long VSL that's very well scripted out, heavy selling. It works, it gets customers into the business. And so a lot of the big players that we'll talk about here in a little bit use VSLs to educate cold traffic, drive them to buy and become customers on day one. It's amazing for it, but you have to have a good back end in order to make it really work. The second are webinar opt-ins. So I've seen people drive visitors to a webinar page with very specific to very broad topics in order to get people to opt into their webinars. You absolutely can go through and do it. I wouldn't say it's definitely not the same conversion rate that you'll see at another network like Facebook, but the offer does work. Next are free trials, and I'll get into some free trials here in a little bit that show you just how massively effective free trials are. So SaaS products, any type of business tool or training that you can trial, it is absolutely a great tool to use. And then finally, the old-fashioned lead magnet. Reports, tools, any of the things that you can give away for free in order to get people into your business work like a charm on GDN. Really just comes down to the targeting. Finally, from the retargeting side, you can put banners absolutely everywhere. So really amazing stuff, huge opportunity available to you. But I really want to dive into some of the offers here to look at some of the companies that have been successful to give you an idea of where you should look. So Agora Financial is one of the big players on the Google Display Network that's been very successful for a long time. Very simple ad they've got here on the left side. Social Security is growing broke. Here's what to do. They generate a bunch of clicks over to an advertorial or a VSL. And the entire purpose here is to get people to consume the VSL and subscribe to the paid newsletter. And so they can drive, prospects for anywhere. I don't know the exact numbers of Agora, but typically what I see is customers between $30 and $75 to $100 that's kind of the range that they're looking. That's not going to cover their front end. So if they're selling a $37 newsletter or a $99 newsletter, they're actually running at a loss in the beginning. The reason they can be successful is because they have massive backends and they spend millions of dollars on display because they figured out how to make it profitable. So if you have the ability to produce VSLs and you have a very good copywriting team, you can make GDN a massive network for your business very quickly. So that's number one. Number two are weight loss products. If you've never seen this ad here on the left, I've seen it many times for many different products. What these people are doing are these are using HTML5 ads with the browning banana to go through and get clicks. So it's very it's an intriguing curiosity ad that gets people to click over to read through an article or to watch a VSL, get the entry level product, and then once again, the back end is really important. So with fitness groups, I've typically seen a $37 entry level product. The person buys after watching a 15 or 20-minute VSL. They've got really high LTV, so they sell supplements and trainings and in-person and all those things on the back end to get their LTV up. And I've been a part of a couple campaigns that'll spend $10,000 or $20,000 a day on ads like this. So really amazing stuff to go through and see the amount of scale that's available when you've got a curiosity click to a very well-crafted VSL in order to get people to continue moving down the funnel. Next is Squarespace. So it's a company I'm sure you're familiar with. They've got a free trial offer, very simple message. And from some of the analytics, they were spending over $300,000 a day getting people to come in and trial Squarespace. They were looking in their ramp up period at the beginning of last year. So it's absolutely incredible to be able to click on build a website, go start your free trial, and figure out how to make that profitable. They have done this on a massive scale for a very long time, and they've made it work for their business. And the last example is audible.com. They use the lead magnet, the free audiobook. You can come in, register for your account, you get that hanging fruit, and they've been able to use forced continuity to make it feasible. So I don't know what their cost per lead is, but they are spending millions of dollars on GDN, getting people into their continuity program, the ability to renew every month and get more audiobooks. So they have figured out how to make it work on a big level, and that means you can too. So now you've seen some examples of some offers that have killed it with some very large companies. And I guess the question that you might be asking yourself is, well, these groups have all been successful on GDN. Why is it that so many companies fail? And that's a great question to be asking, because I will tell you right now that 99% of companies fail with GDN because they have the wrong expectations. So in the next section, what I want to help you do is figure out the right expectations that you need to have in order to set yourself up for success.